There is a quiet shift happening inside banks right now. The same generative AI everyone argues about is being pointed at one of the most document-heavy jobs in finance: audit and assurance. The work where someone has to read a stack of paper and sign their name to say it is correct. Let me show you how that actually works, and a line that keeps it compliant instead of reckless. Here is the thing people outside the work miss. When a qualified auditor reviews an annual report or a credit file, only a small slice of that time is real expert judgment. The rest is hunting, scrolling hundreds of pages to find the one passage that answers a checklist question, then writing down where they found it and why it passes. The expensive expert spends their day as a search engine and a documentation clerk. And this is colliding with two trends at once. Fewer qualified auditors are entering the profession, while the regulatory rulebook they have to evidence keeps getting longer. So you have rising demand for documented, defensible review and a shrinking pool of people who can do it. That gap is exactly where the automation pressure comes from. Once you see the shape, you see it everywhere. A human takes a set of documents, checks them against fixed criteria from a checklist, and reaches a sign-off decision. That is an annual financial statement. It is also a loan file, a KYC pack, a vendor contract under DORA, even a building permit. Different industries, same machine. And anything that repetitive and rule-based is something software can assist. So, how does an AI assistant actually do this? You give it three things: the standing rules that always apply, like the relevant law or standard; the checklist, which is the real heart of it, the exact questions every review must answer; and the document under review. The system then reads the whole file, and for each checklist question, it pulls the passages it thinks are relevant and proposes an answer: criterion met or not met. This is the question every team asks, and it is a fair one. A general chatbot gives you a convincing demo and then hits a wall. High-stakes regulated review needs the model grounded in the right source documents, tuned to the domain's language, and tested against real cases that were already judged correct or incorrect. The gap between a slick demo and something you would stake a signature on is that last, unglamorous 20%. Here is the first hard rule, and it is non-negotiable. Because the auditor is themselves audited, every answer has to point to the exact passage it came from. An answer with no source is worthless. In fact, regulators have already said it plainly. Content a machine generates is not, by itself, audit evidence. So a useful system does not just say yes or no. It shows you the lines it relied on, so a human can check them in seconds. This is the part that gets glossed over, and it is the most important. The goal is not a machine that decides while a person rubber stamps. The EU AI Act, in Article 14, requires meaningful human oversight of high-risk systems. A person who understands the output, resists the urge to overtrust it, and can override it. The auditor still corroborates against the evidence and owns the conclusion. The AI deletes the grunt work. It does not inherit the responsibility. And then there is the data itself. You cannot paste a confidential client file into a public chatbot. Full stop. Banking secrecy, data protection law, and third-party rules under DORA all push the same way. So this work tends to run on private, ring-fenced deployments, on the bank's own infrastructure, or a dedicated, contractually locked environment, where the sensitive documents never leave the bank's control. Now look at where this goes. Auditors have always tested samples, pulling a few dozen cases and hoping the problem is in them. Data analytics already lets teams test the entire population instead, and AI is what finally reads the unstructured documents that used to make full coverage impossible. Add anomaly detection across a portfolio, where the outlier file flags itself, and the auditor's attention gets aimed at the few cases that actually deserve it. So if you take one thing from this, take this. AI is not replacing the auditor. It is removing the part of the job that never needed an expert in the first place: the searching and the writing up. The judgment, the skepticism, and the signature stay human, by law and by good sense. The teams that win are the ones that automate the grunt work without ever automating the accountability. If this made the AI in audit shift click for you, follow along, because I break down one banking and AI topic like this at a time. I also put together a short governance checklist for bringing AI into document review without failing your next inspection, and it is free in the newsletter, linked below.